Hey YouTube, how you doing? Kevin here coming at you. Okay, so we've been dealing this week right here. We're in with Air. This KE102 build that I'm doing for your KE100 build. We modified the air filter, not the air filter, the carburetor, the air horn. Where it comes out, we match the port in the back and in the front. Um, we've used different needles and jets. We got that pretty much the carburetor base all set. I'm going to put a new needle and seat. That's why the bowl is off, just because. So I modified it. I don't know if you can see it over there. I'll see if I can expand it. In the video I showed you as a kit to put the remote the remote choke, so it's not going to have the pull button. It's going to have a cable up to the what do you call it, the handlebars, and I'll just be able to move the little lever off to the side, and then boom. So it'll have remote choke. So what we did in that, we did the carburetor modification, the suck in air. We have the expansion chamber that came out. That thing's coming out good. I haven't done any more modifications on that yet. There'll be another video on that soon. And now we're going to talk about the air filter assemblies. A lot of questions on these right here have been coming up. Can I do anything to my air filter? Can I modify my air filter in any way, shape, or form? Okay. Well, first off, I want you guys to keep in mind that the hole right here on the top of your engine is where all your air comes in. It comes through here into the side cover, which is rounded, and it goes into the air horn. So the idea behind this is to get as much air into here, come through into your carburetor and into the motor. So part of that has to do with the air filter box. Now the air filter box is kind of a really cool. They have a good ending right there. I mean, it's all nice and wide open. Look how wide open that is. And then they killed it with that little rectangle, the tiny little rectangle, and that tiny little air horn. The air horn is actually bigger than the rectangle, but not by much. So what you can do on this air filter box is open this up, cut this out. And a lot of people are like, how do you cut that out? That's really hard to cut out without taking this piece off. Well, you don't want to take this piece off, because if you ride your bike in the rain, the water comes over this and goes right out to the right onto the back of the motor and onto the ground. So this is you need this. You need this shield. Okay. And if you're going through mud and stuff, it kicks up and it goes down. Everything travels down. Remember that. So to keep that in faith, we're going to use this as a model. You can see how it is. You don't want to cut it all the way to the end here, because then just too much debris or debris can get in there. But there's a couple of things you can do to modify it. One, I use this tool right here. This has been my go-to tool for a lot of modifications. I used it on the carburetor. It's a carbide bit, and it's made by Astro Tools. And you can get them anywhere. You don't even have to be Astro, but you can get these and use them. And I can slide it in and out and get my whole thing right inside the air filter box. So this is not done. It needs to be sandblasted and cleaned up and a little bit of detailing. But what I did was I took my cutter, regular grinder, snap-on grinder, and I cut 2 slits up the back right here. And then I sandwiched it with 2 pieces of flat steel off that piece of flat stock I got. I put one on the bottom, one on the outside. I cut the 2 slits, and I used a pair of pliers and bent them out nice and evenly so it looks pretty. See how that looks? I gotta adjust the edges, but nothing big. And now right there allows me to suck in a little bit more air to get to that hole to match it. The second modification I did was on the inside, which it needs to be cleaned up, but it's not done. I opened up the hole. So I'm going to put these two side by side so you guys can see how much air I'm getting into it. I don't know if you can see that or not. See how much more open that is. The original hole, I'll use this right here, stopped right about here. So I opened up all this, is what I removed the metal. You can see that on here, how small that hole is. And you can see how big that hole is. You don't need to go berserk with these. You don't need to open them up as much, all the way, because you're only going to get so much air through that carburetor. So I opened it up and flared out the end so it can suck in more air and fill up that box a little quicker. And then of course I'll sandblast this. All those little marks will be gone, and this thing will look beautiful when I have it. What do you call it there? Powder coated. So some of the tools I used, the main tool that I use whenever doing any of this type of stuff, and I can't stress this enough, is a nice pair of OSHA safety glasses, because you don't want any of the stuff in your eyes. So make sure you wear your safety glasses. It's imperative. Okay. And then I used a right angle drill. This is a cheapie. You can get these anywhere. There's nothing. You don't even have to use this style. They make other ones as well, but I used the right angle because it was easier for me to get in there. Okay. So basically, what I did was I held it up against myself. See if I can do this here. Hold it up against myself, and I just used my die grinder with pressure and kept pulling it back like that. And my goal was to take off a little bit more than the diameter of my bit. I wanted to get at least a 1/2 inch more, like that, taking off. Just going back and forth, grinding it out, opening it up. And then after I did that, I took my cutter. I didn't cut on the sides. I cut on the back, because I wanted the sides to look clean. You know what I mean? I didn't want to cut up like that. So I cut it to the same length on both sides, using my cutter, right up the back, just like that. And then on that side right there, just kept an eye on where I was cutting. Go a little bit at a time. Don't be in a hurry. It's going to take you a little while to figure out how much you want to take. You can make it a little bit flatter, but I wanted to have it so when the water comes down off the back, it still continues to flow off of it. And then even if it did get in the crack there, it's not going to go into the air filter because it's up a little higher. So I cut these 2 slits a little lower than the bottom of the opening. You see what I did there? So it's still a dam. And then I used the same flat stock that I used on my exhaust system to hold it up to make that bracket. I just cut off 2 1 inch pieces in there. I didn't measure them out. I just eyeballed them. I put the small one on the inside like this. I just set it right there like that, and then I held it. I took the other side, I put that on the outside like that, so it's sandwiched, and then I used a pair of pliers. I crimped them like that, and then bent it out a little bit. And I did that so it wouldn't be all torn up in here, and it would be even all the way across and look factory. So there's no different bends, like you're going all over the place and it's all warped and looks horrible. That's how I got that nice straight bend without hurting the sheet metal. So I sandwiched it. That was a technique I did. I rolled it back a little bit, opened up the air horn under the dam, and then before this thing goes in for this is all powder coat, before this gets sandblasted, it's going to be I'm going to chamfer all the edges so there's no sharp edges on it, and I'll probably take a wire brush to the inside there and clean that up a bit, and that's pretty much it for the air filter modification. The air filter modification it's just basically it's going to suck in a little bit more air, but it's going to allow me to put more air into the motor. That's really all it's going to do. You can leave yours factory if you want. You don't have to do an air filter modification. I am, just because I'm pretty much going all out with all the modifications that I can possibly do to this thing. I can't think of any more modifications to do to the air intake, so I wanted to make sure I share all the stuff with you as I'm doing it. And this is for the KE102 build. So once again, modification wise, we did the exhaust system. I'm making a video, buddy. I did the exhaust system. It's not quite done yet, but it's a good portion of it's done. So we have the expansion chamber. That never gets old, I'll tell you that right now. Okay, so we got the expansion chamber. We got the carburetor modification. Like I said, I was gonna put a bigger carburetor on here, and when it came in, it didn't fit right. It blocked up the other mounting hole for the side cover, and I want to keep this thing looking. I want this bike to look like a sleeper. I want it to look almost like a restoration job, and then when you get on it, you can just rip it up, you know. So I want this thing to look really, really cool. A couple of other things we're going to do is we're going to modify the shifter. Not the shifter, the Kickstarter. We're going to drill a few holes in it. I'm going to do it on WP, see if I like it. I wasn't going to, but I'm thinking I might just put like 3 holes in it, or 2 holes, or 1 hole space and then 2 holes for the KE102. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I might even change the whole Kickstarter altogether and put a more performance lighter one on there, because I can get an aluminum Kickstarter for a little cheaper, and it's going to take off a little bit more weight. Not a whole lot of weight, but if you think about all the weight that we're taking off this thing when you're removing metal, if you put an aluminum Kickstarter, that's going to take off, you know, like it's not really a pound, but it's going to take off ounces here. The exhaust modifications, all the stuff that we're taking off. So then if we have to put something else that is a little bit more beefier on, like say rear shocks, our power to weight ratio is basically going to be the same, as opposed to if we leave everything heavy and put heavier shocks on there. Now we're dragging down the bike with weight. So it's kind of where my head's at with that. So carburetor modifications, we're gonna get that done. Well, we already got that done. We just have to put the needle and seat in, and then put that in. Trying to think, what else did we do? Needle and seat. It has to be done to the carb. I need to get the gaskets for the cover, the oil pump, and the other side cover for the mag. We gotta put the magneto back in. This is going to be electronic ignition, which we already have. We already have that, which is nice. And then we got, let's see, where else are we at? That, I want to change the filter down bottom, and it's getting new. I have a new clutch cable for it already. So it's got the new clutch cable, and that we got the new throttle cable. So yeah, we're humming right along. We're humming right along. The frame is going in for sandblasting on Monday. I'm going to be dropping that off to get that sandblasted. And so the next thing we have to do is see if we can remove the ID number from it. And I'm going to show you the wax paper trick with that when I go and do that, if I can even remove it. Some of those you can't remove, they just tear up, but I'm going to give it a shot. It's got a VIN number on it, so I'm really not too worried about it. And that's pretty much it. I was going to sandblast around it, but I just got a matchbox accident. So pretty much where we're at with that. So the air filter modification is all done. Once again, I'll show it to you. This is factory right here. Just a small hole with a small air horn. We opened it up to a bigger air horn and bigger hole, so I can suck in more air. I mean, look how big the hole is at the bottom. You know what I mean? You basically, what you want, you're only going to use the side of the air filter. We want the whole box to be filled with air. So it's got the real estate to do it. Might as well let it do its job. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. It's a short video. I'm trying to do these things individually as I do them, and there's just a lot of videos coming up for this bike. A lot. And the modifications are very, very important to do, especially when you're building a performance bike. And we're trying to go for between 15 and 20 horsepower, and so I'm doing pretty much everything I can to make that happen without blowing up this motor. And I'm keeping in mind that the motor is small. It is not a big motor. It's not a 125. It's not a 150 or a 175. It's still, no matter how you look at it, it's still a 100. And with that said, we're gonna, everything is petite. The intake is petite, the carburetor is petite, the cylinder is petite, yeah, everything's petite. But there's no reason why we can't get more power out of it. So, and every modification we do is going to work on building up. It's kind of like the pyramid effect, to get us to that plateau where we need to be at the 15 to 20 horsepower. I mean, seriously, if I got 15 horsepower out of this motor, I would be stoked. If I get 20, I'm celebrating. So, I mean, definitely celebrating, because this is a good motor, good bike. But we want to also, I mean, you guys saw the clutches, the boss is for. This is not, you're talking the bolts down to 3.5 foot-pounds. There's not a whole lot of power generated by this power plant to do that. There's no high performance parts available for it. There is no parts and pieces, and I mean, I've been through every magazine there possibly is, and I can't find any single any modification. In fact, let me explain to you on bikes. I've got magazines, trust me, and there is nothing in there. They advertise. One of them advertises the KE100 as an enduro. That's it. It just shows the bike. It shows the guy riding the bike, and it just says no, I was a 1999 KE100, and it didn't have any features. It's just basically says good trail bike. Light to moderate trails. Well, we're gonna make this thing a little bit more heavier duty than light to moderate. That's kind of hey. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, by all means send them my way. Thank you guys for going on this journey with me, to get in this little power plant to make more than what it is factory. Performance-wise, factory. These are great little bikes. I love my KE100. The thing goes really, really good, and it's fun to ride. It's good for like dirt roads, off-road, like trails and stuff like that, already groomed, and it's just a really, really fun bike. And as we're going with these modifications are actually going to help us achieve reliability, durability, and longevity of the bikes, because some of the stuff that's on these bikes is really, really cheap, and we're going to make them a little bit more stronger, like the suspension. We're going to be using the KE100 suspension in the front, and we're going to be using basically classic dirt bike rear air shocks in the back, and those are pretty cool. So you're going to like those. We're not really giving the bike any more height. We're not changing tire sizes. We're going to keep all tire sizes the same. We're going to pick a nice tire that's not really aggressive, but it's not not aggressive either. You know what I mean? So we're going for power, speed, and climbability. We're going to be able to do. I'm looking for a general tire. That's basically all around. Got a little bit of knob to it. Just like I said, you're not going to climb the side of a hill with side of a mountain with this bike. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen factory, and it's not going to happen aftermarket. And I don't care what you do to it. I mean, like I said, we opened up the carburetor, and we're going to get a ton more power just out of this carburetor modification alone. Let alone being 20 over, high compression cylinder head, expansion chamber, air filter modification, Barnett clutch. These are all great combinations. Not all that expensive to do. This is a factory carburetor, and the only thing I'm buying for this carburetor is a needle and seat. And the jets and everything else came out of that other carburetor there for the other Mikuni. This Mikuni right here. See how nice that little hole is? And that hole is the hole. This is the one from the Suzuki. Okay, it's a Mikuni. Where is it? Right there. It's a Mikuni. This is out of a DS100, and basically it's the same jetting, same floats, different bowl, but pretty much the same pilot jet and main jet style that they'll fit. And this one right here had the 85.7 main and the 25 pilot, and a different needle for the slide, which matched the needle, the main jet. So I wanted to keep that. This thing had some sick performance to it. Also an oil injection system, and that's what these tubes are right here. One goes up to the intake, one's for the oiler, and but you can see the back tube, same carburetor, same hole, same diameter, but it wouldn't mount on to us because it would have to have a bolt and it would be sticking way out. because ours takes the clamp style. So with that said, we're not going to use this carburetor. However, we did use parts and pieces out of it, the metering system, the jet system, and yeah, it's pretty cool, really cool. And the inner diameter and the exit are now the same on ours. So I checked that with my little micrometer. So that's what we did. We matched ports. We matched the carburetor to the intake. I mean, look at that. Come on, guys. Huh? That cool? So we're going to use this technology onto that technology, onto the older technology, and boost it. So that's where that's going. For the to finish off the carb talk on that, the air filter modifications, we're going to have some airflow, we're going to have some metering, we're going to have fuel. We have a lot going on, so this is great. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Any questions, any comments, by all means send them my way. And thank you guys for going on this journey with me. This is exciting. I'm really glad to be doing this. And I've always wanted to do a bike from the ground up. And what better than a bike that I had that was just parts and pieces. So we're going to build a 2000. That's what this is, 2000 KE102. The second to last year of them. They stopped production in 2001. And basically the same bike, 2000, 2001. There's no differences. And that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Have a great day.